Hi, everyone. For those who are already here, let's just wait another about 3 minutes to let the rest of the participants join in. Hi, we will be starting in about 2 to 3 minutes, waiting for everyone to join in. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the celebrating 40 years of Excel webinar. I'm Sandra, I'll be your facilitator for the session today from ASK Training, right? So just like the title says, 40 years, that's how old Excel is right now. His actual birthday was on the 30th September, so a belated celebration. Yeah, I think when for many of us, we cannot run away from not using Excel now. In many work environment, regardless of your industry or sector, Excel is one of the most essential office application that everyone uses. Right. So we're going to look at some interesting features in Excel, some tools and tips to work fast in Excel. Some of you who are regular user, you might be familiar with it. So you might end up learning new things. And we're also going to look at some of the newer features in Excel, right? That is AI powered right now, how you search for data and so on, right? And then I'm going to some exciting news to share towards the end of the seminar. So keep a lookout for it. Okay. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to be looking at. Some classic tips and tricks, which will focus on how you move around your worksheet faster, some basic calculation that you can do quickly without writing formulas. We'll look at three of the dynamic array formula, newer formulas in Excel, right? Followed by a couple of AI tools in Excel, and then we will do a Q&A session. Now you can use the Q&A feature whether you are logging in through the web or the app, or the chat feature to share your question. The session is recorded, and the files used during the session, whether it's the presentation and the sample file, we will share the link with you toward the end of it. Right? So we get started. We're going to look at some of the classic tips and tricks. Like I said, how do you move around Excel in a faster way, and also some formula related shortcuts. We still have some people joining in. All right. Okay. I hope you can see my Excel file over here. We have a simple data set here showing some sales data. All right. So let's say you need to quickly select your data, whether for the purpose of copying, or you want to maybe do some formatting. Small amount data, of course, we can highlight them. But let's say it's a large data set and you want to highlight quickly, all you have to do is select any cell within your data range, right? And use the shortcut key Control A. You can see Control A will select the entire data set. Okay. Even let's say you happen to be on a blank cell, right? Maybe a blank cell like here, and you press Control A, they can still detect the data around it and select it for us. Okay. The only thing to keep in mind, what if I happen to be on a blank cell that is surrounded by other blank cells? In this case, Control A will end up selecting the entire worksheet. So this is quite useful when you are selecting your data set quickly, especially for larger ones. Right. So again, let's say we want to move around our data. I might be dealing with thousands of rows in my record. What if I need to add a quick data towards the bottom instead of scrolling down or using the arrow key? Okay, to go to the last row of your data set, okay, you can use the control and down arrow key. The control and the arrow key combination is basically to move to the edge of data. Let's say I have a 30 column data set. I want to go to the last column, add a new column. So I can use the control and right arrow. Okay. And of course, same thing if I want to go to the top or to the extreme left, it will be control up. Right. Oh, here we have some blanks. Right. Control up or control left. So use the control and arrow key to move to your edge of your data set. Next, in this example, you can see I have about 5 worksheets. Of course, we just switch to each worksheet by clicking on them. What if you have a file with 20, 30 worksheets? Some files can even contain much more, and you want to go to a worksheet quickly. Okay. If you use the tab navigation icons at the bottom left, the triangles icon, you can simply right click. You will get a list of all the worksheets in your file. Simply double click the worksheet that you want to go to. So I don't have to search one by one to look at my particular worksheet. Of course, this is provided everyone made the effort to name the worksheet. In some files, we can see worksheet 1, worksheet 2, they just accept the default. Then I would say good luck in guessing the content, right? Okay, so a quick review on the navigation. If you want to select a large data set quickly, select any cell in the data set, Control A, all right? But if you're on a blank cell surrounded by other blank cell, Control A will select the entire worksheet. To move to the edge of your data, first row, first column, last column, use the control and the arrow key for the direction that you want to move to. Okay. And to go to a worksheet quickly without scrolling through the worksheet, right click the tab navigation at the bottom left, right, and double click the worksheet that you want to go to. Okay. Now, the next feature that we're going to look at is this feature called table. Now, many people deal with what we call records in their data set, whether it's client data, personal data, transaction data, and so on. So basically, data set means you have proper heading for every column and so on. Okay, one of the useful feature in Excel is called table, but many people don't really realize how effective it is in managing your data set. So to convert a simple list like this into a table, you can select any cell and then use the shortcut Control T, T for table. Right? You can see that they automatically select the range. By default, they will assume the first row is the header, which is the basic setup for a data set. Right? So you can click OK. Table comes with some preset formatting. Normally, the header row stands out from the rest and so on. Okay. When we convert a data set into a table, and you do, let's say, any kind of formula or link to this data set, we treat it as dynamic. Okay. Meaning, when I add, delete rows or column, the formula that refers to the table will automatically update. Or even when I move the entire table, I don't have to worry about editing my formulas or the references. So that is one advantage now. You see, for example, let's say maybe I want to add a new column called commission here. I'm at the end of it. Okay. I'm just going to type a sample heading. So when I press enter, the table will automatically expand. So if there was any references to the original table range, it will also automatically update. Let's say the commission is 5% of the amount. Watch what happens when we do a formula. I simply take amount, multiply by 5%. When I press enter, the entire column updates. So it's dynamic in that way. Even when I'm editing an existing formula, let's say the company decide to increase the commission, it's going to be 15% instead. I don't have to specifically go to the first cell to make the changes. I can simply select any one of the cell. Okay, I'm going to change it to 15%. Press enter, the entire table updates. Okay. You would also notice as I'm scrolling down, the header row is automatically frozen. Some of you might be familiar with the concept of freezing pane. So for table, this is automatically applied now. All right. There are many more other features, but these are some of the important ones. Right? It comes with a preset formatting filter. The table will automatically expand whether you insert, delete rows and column. Any formulas that you do will automatically update. Right? They also allow you to do quick calculation to your table. If you right click any part of your table And then under table, you select total row. A new row will be added to the bottom. Depending on what was the last column, they will automatically do a calculation. Over here, I have my total commission. What if I want to know average? Simply click on the total value. You can just change the calculation to any one of them. Okay. Maybe I want to see total amount. So you click on the blank total cell and choose a different calculation. So quick summary calculation to any columns of the table. Okay. And because of the filter, maybe I want to focus on March entries only. As I apply the filter, you can see the total will automatically update. So these are all the dynamic features that a table has. One thing that I noticed, not everyone likes the preset formatting that comes to the table. Some people like to keep their data set clean, no color. I don't want all these alternate row colors and so on. If you still want all the table feature, like the freezing, auto update, and the total row and so on, you can simply use the table design tab. Okay. The last set of commands, the table style, it allows you to change the formatting, right? You can go for a different color combination, or you can even set it to none, the very first option. I don't want any of the formatting, but I still want the table feature. Right? So that is some of the navigation and shortcut techniques. So if you have any questions, for those who have just joined in, you can share your question in the chat area or the Q&A area. We will address them later on during our Q&A session. Okay, now we look at another shortcut. One of the most commonly used calculation in Excel is summation. You sum up a total set of values. Okay, so there are many ways to do it. Many people have different techniques. One of the ways is you can simply highlight your data up to where you want the answer to be. Let's say you are adding up data in columns or rows, okay? And you can use the shortcut key alternate equal, right? Of course, the most popular icon method is under Home tab, your auto sum icon now, okay? Okay, I give you another example. If I'm doing summation for rows, okay? So you just highlight your data up to where you want the answer to be, alternate equal. And we can do two-way summation also. Okay. One extra row, one extra column, alternate equal. If you're very comfortable using this shortcut, and there are many range that you have to sum up at one go, you can do this. Highlight your data set. Okay, start with the first set. Again, up to where you want the answer to be. Subsequent data set, use control. Okay. Let me just do that one more time. My first set is to total up every column. Then I press control, my second set, every row. For the third set, I want both row and column. And I have one more data set over here, slightly different dimension. Okay. So using control will treat each of them as separate range now. And then alternate equal. Less than a second to do your summation. Right. So these were some of the shortcuts. Right? I hope everyone is doing good so far. All right. No questions, a good thing. Okay. So now we're going to look at some dynamic array function. Excel has been introducing a series of functions under this category. Basically, dynamic array means the function or the result of the function will automatically update when your source data changes. So there is more than 20 and it's being added as we go about. So let's look at three of them now. So the first function that we're going to look at is called the sort function. It has two variations. We're going to look at one of it. This data set is to do with a traffic statistics. You have like case ID, date, number of vehicles on the road, how many vehicles ran over red light, a number of vehicles involved in accidents. Okay, let's say, for example, I need this data set to be sorted by the date in from the latest case to the oldest case. So wherever you want the result to be, you can do an equal sort in bracket. First, you select your range and then comma. The next part is the column that you want to sort by. You have to indicate it using a number. In this case, case date will be the second column. So I indicate as number 2. Right. Comma, and then the order. So we use 1 to represent ascending and -1 descending. Since I want from the latest to the earliest date, we will go for descending. The last part is optional. Now, most of the time we sort our rows, then you have to set it by false. If you are sorting your columns, let's say if your data is arranged in a horizontal manner, but rarely, data set is rarely in that way, you have to choose false. Right? So the range that you want to sort, the column that you want to sort by, the order, right? Followed by, are you sorting the rows or are you sorting the columns? So when I press enter, I get my result. You notice there's like a blue border around my result. Okay, that is the what we call the spill range, where the result appears. Now, let's say I decide that I want to change my order. Okay, by the way, the case date here, okay, the formatting you realize doesn't transfer over. So I'm just going to change my date into a date format. Okay, there. You can see it's from the the latest to the earliest date. Let's say I am analyzing the number of accidents now, and I want to see from the lowest to the highest. So I just have to go to the first cell in the range, right, in the result. So I'm going to change it to sort index 5, the fifth column. The order, okay, it's going to be 1, ascending. Right. So I'm going to press enter. Okay. Now, you notice in this case, my heading went to the bottom. So in a date sorting, the text appeared at the top with text sorter. Right? But when it comes to number sorting, the text got moved down. So in this case, I'm going to modify my range. Instead of starting from A3, to start from A4, the first record. Then I can just manually copy and paste the titles over. Okay? In the PowerPoint slide, which we will share the link with you all later, all right, we give you the syntax of the formula. Okay, for example, let me just show you what you will get. Okay, yeah. So this is the syntax of the formula, and all the component, what you want to sort, the column row number to sort by, the sort order, and whether you're sorting by row or by column. Okay. Now let's look at another feature. All right, we're going to look at the function called unique. A lot of us tend to deal with duplicate data. We might have to remove them. Right? Some of us may be familiar with the feature called remove duplicates, which is available in the data tab. Okay, allows you to remove duplicate record. But sometimes we may need to extract the unique values out from our list. Okay. Now, the first data set, I have a list of names over here, and you would notice there are some duplicates, short list, so we can just detect immediately. Yeah? So to extract all the unique entries out, you simply use the function equal unique in bracket, specify the range. Right. In this case, you can, of course, include the header if you want to. Right. Whether you are data is in rows or in columns. In this case, my names are all in rows. So we choose return unique rows. The last part is optional. I'll explain that shortly. So the basic function is the list that you want to extract unique values from, followed by is your data in rows or columns. Okay. Now, in case when you are extracting your data, there are other data in the area. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing in column E over here. But let's say I have some entries. So I'm going to do the same formula, equal unique. I select my range, comma, my data is in rows, right, and I press enter. So you will get this error alert called hashtag spill with an exclamation mark. This simply means that the result is being blocked by existing data. They will not override your existing data and so on. They will give you this message now. So if you look at the surrounding area, you can probably detect. Watch what happens when I delete these entries. Then the formula gets filled. Right? So spill error appears when the result is going to overlap any of the existing data. Now, what if my data set happens to be in a horizontal layout? Because people rarely keep data set in horizontal layout, but if they do and you want to get a unique list, okay, let's say over here, again, I'm going to use unique. Okay, I'm going to select my names over here. And this time, of course, we're going to go for unique column because our data are arranged in columns. Right? Remember array formula, the formula will, you always need to edit on the first cell, okay? If you look at the rest of them, when you click on it, it will appear faded in the formula bar now. So if any changes, just edit the first cell, right? And if anyone changes the entry in the source, this will automatically update. So for example, let's say the first one, instead of Tina, I change it to Tom. It's a totally unique entry here. You will see that this automatically updates. That is the dynamic array. Now, the unique function had one more portion. Okay, when you have unique data, for example, over here, you can see, again, this is a very small data. We can inspect it manually. Yeah? I have Tina appearing twice, Henry like 3 times, and so on. Let's say maybe these are my customers or maybe my callers and so on. I want to find out who has, maybe I have transacted with only once. That means they only appear once in my data. Okay. So we can use again equal unique, select the range, followed by the arrangement of your data, whether it's rows or column. In this case, we go for column and you specify whether you want items that appears exactly one or every unique item. By default, it falls when you don't specify it. Okay. See the difference? Okay. Tina doesn't appear because it appears more than once. All right. Similarly, you can see Henry doesn't appear because it appears more than once. Okay. So unique item that only appears once. This is good to extract, like I said, single occurrences. Right. Now, so far, when we use unique, you saw that we dealt with single column, single row. You can also extract entire records. Okay, so we have a simple record over here. Let's say I want to extract unique record. That means all the three columns must match. Right. So I'm going to do equal unique. This time I'm going to select my entire range. Right. My data again is by rows. Right. You can, of course, choose if you want a single unique occurrence or all the unique data. Right? The whole column will be extracted. And of course, if you decide that you want to include the heading, just select accordingly. Now. In this case, I will go from 830. But normally, I will try to keep the heading out of it. We'll manually create a. Right. Maybe I want all these unique records, right, to also be sorted. Now you can combine your formulas together. I've gotten the unique result. So this entire result, I want it to be sorted, let's say by the third column. Okay. So I'm going to put a sort at the beginning, the result of the unique. Then at the end, I want to sort by the third column, which is the amount. And I would like it to be in descending order. So you can play around with the formulas. Right? Okay, so that is on the unique function. Okay, now we're going to look at the third function, right, which is called XLOOKUP. In Excel, they say that if you claim that you know Excel, you must know the lookup for function. The most popular one, the most widely used one is VLOOKUP. It's basically used to look up a data in a table or range. Okay. For example, maybe I have a product table. I need to look up the product ID and retrieve the price. Or maybe I have, let's say, a HR table. I need to look up the employee NRIC or ID and get their names and so on. So you're looking up a value and you're retrieving a corresponding value based on that. Tables can be in vertical arrangement, that means by column. So normally we use VLOOKUP for that. They can also be in horizontal arrangement. That's where we use HLOOKUP. But now Excel has this feature called XLOOKUP, which is a replacement for both of these functions, and it's so much easier to use them. Okay. Now let's look at this sample data over here. I have top 10 scam categories, shows the amount of money that was lost, the type of scam, right? Number of cases, and this is so-called the change from the previous year. Okay, again, let's assume your table could be much larger and so on, right? So what I want to do over here is whenever there is a scam type entered in this cell, right? I would like to know what is the amount of money that was lost. Okay, so we're going to use equal XLOOKUP. First, what is the lookup value? I want Excel to look for this, comma. Where is the table or the data set that it is supposed to look for this? In this case, it will be from this column. Previously, when we use VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP, you would need to highlight the entire range now. But now it's not necessary. Okay, what are you looking for? Where is the row or column that you're looking for the data, comma. The next part is, from which part of the table do you want to get the answer from? I'm looking for the amount of money lost, so I would like the answer from this column. Okay. Again, previously, you have to specify the column number or the row number, right? But now you simply highlight. Let's say if I wanted to know the number of cases, I would select this range. Okay. So just highlight the range that you want to get the answer from. Okay. Again, just repeat. This is, what are you looking for? Where are you going to look for the value? From where are you going to get the answer from? Okay. Next part. In the previous version of the lookup formula, if they cannot find the value that you're looking for, it will return a default message called NA, not available now. With XLOOKUP, you get to customize the error message. So I will come to this later on. All right, let me just put another comma to skip this for now. The match type, okay, whether your data is a unique value. For example, loan scam is a unique value in this list. Let's say if I'm looking up an employee ID, that's considered unique. A product number, these are considered unique. So we go for exact match now. All the different is mentioned in your slides also. Right. The last part is whether you want to search from the top to bottom or bottom up. Some people may arrange the data from most recent. By default, they will search from top to bottom now. Okay. I'm going to press enter. So you can see for loan scam, I get 6.1. Okay. Lookup value, lookup range, where to get the answer from, match type, whether the value that you're looking for is an exact value, normally for unique values, or they are part of a range. Normally that's used for a numerical range now. Okay. So let's say if I put in a different scam, maybe I change to investment scam. You can see that it looks for this here and will return the corresponding value from the return range. Okay. If I type something that is not in the list, let's say I do lottery scam. So this is the default error message now, not available. But remember I said earlier that we can customize. So I can edit my formula. Okay. After the lookup value, lookup range, return range, you can customize your error message by putting them in double quotes. Maybe I put the invalid scam. Or you can put scam not found or something like that. Right? Okay. So instead of NA, I get my own message now. Okay. If the value that I enter is available, it will return. However, if it's not, okay, then I will get invalid scam. Right? So these are some of the advantages. We don't have to select the whole table, okay, compared to the older lookup formula, right? And the lookup value in the older version, it must always be set in the first column of the table. Now it can be any column because you get to specify the column. Don't have to count the column number. You can customize the error alert, okay? And then for the search mode, the last part, typically you will search top to bottom, but you can also search bottom up if you want to. I'm going to show you another example of the lookup. Okay. Here I have, let's say, different sales range. Based on the sales range, I have to assign, let's say, discount rate. Okay. So basically, we read this like maybe 1,000 to less than 4,000 will be 10%. 4,000 less than 8,500 to 20%. So these are range of values there. Right. So again, I'm going to use XLOOKUP. I'm going to look up this sales value, 4,600. And I want Excel to look it up here. Right. I would like to get the rate from here. If not found, you can always enter your own custom message. If you want to skip, simply press another comma. Now, my data type would be what we call exact match now. Okay. Now, this is arranged in ascending order. So let's see what happens. Let's use one now. Find either exactly this value. If it is not found, go for the next larger item. Now, we normally use the option 1 if the data is in descending order from highest to lowest. But in our case, our sales is an ascending order. You must use -1. Because how do we read this table? 4,500 is supposedly here now. It's within this part here, right? It's from 4,000, but less than 8,500. Okay. So even if I get, let's say, 8,499, they still qualify for 20%. Go for the lower value because of the sorting order. Okay. So I'm going to set as, okay, -1. There. Let's say I change this amount to 28,000. Okay. So rightfully in this table, 28,000 means from 35% here, right? The amount between 20,000 to less than 50,000 there. Okay. So these are some of the dynamic array functions available in Excel. Okay. Okay. Right. Now let's look at some AI powered features available. Again, if this will be very useful for those who are dealing with large amount of data. I'm talking about thousands of rows. We have to do many types of summary for different audience in our organization. Management may want to see from one type of view. Maybe those executive level may want to see another view, and so on. So if you would like Excel to analyze your data for you, of course, you must arrange your data in a proper format. Right? When we talk about data set, they always assume the first row is header row, subsequent are your record. It's highly recommended to format this as a table. If you remember the shortcut Control T, right? That will make it easier for you to do the analyze. And then on your home tab, you can use the command called Analyze tab. Okay, sorry, Analyze Data. So by default, they will just quickly, because our data set is quite small. If you're dealing with, let's say, 500,000 data set, then you might see a little bit of lag, but it's not really that long, right? They automatically come up with some preset insight. Okay, so they realize that majority of the sales are for new clients, for example, new accounts, right? You can even expand to see all the different analysis that they have created for us, right? If you find any of the visualization here is useful, you can always choose the option to insert it, okay? For those who are creating dashboard or visualization to report, then you can do this, right? You can even ask questions about your data using natural languages. Nowadays, many people use GPT, ChatGPT to get their answer. You can apply similar technique. Now, I want to know which sales rep, let's say, has the highest sale for the month of March, okay? So I just put in simple text like this. In fact, you see, you can even kind of predict what I want to do. So I'm going to say have the highest amount, right? Then press enter, then you will get the answer now. Okay. Maybe I want to see, in fact, you don't really have to use a proper sentence. I want to see top three sales rep by commission. We call this natural language query, asking questions about your data. Right? You can also use the Copilot feature. I think of it like a Microsoft version of ChatGPT to ask questions about your data. Okay, whether you want to write formulas and so on. Similar technique to what we did earlier on. All right, you can simply type your questions over here. All right, type your questions over here, but your file need to be on a cloud service in order to use it. Like in Microsoft, we have SharePoint or OneDrive in order to do this. I can do the same thing and say maybe create a pie chart to show the distribution of sales by the month. So as you type, you'll get the same result as what you saw in Analyze Data. Okay? And you like the result, you can enter. Right? Use the option to insert them. Right? Okay, so these are some of the exciting features in. Okay, I have some questions. This question whether blank rows in between. Okay, if there are blank rows in between your data set, they normally will analyze your data before the blank row. The blank row is considered to be the end of your data. You can have blank cells, but not an entire row or column that is blank in between. Okay. There's another question asking whether we will cover functions PY and Copilot. Okay, previously, just now I showed you how we use the panel to analyze data and then the Copilot to do a similar thing. So the formula version works the same way. You have to type equal Copilot, you can type your prompt and so on, but we're not going to show that over here. You need the latest version of your M365 to do this. And like I said, your file need to be on a cloud service to see this effect now, but not in this webinar now. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Anyone share questions? No? Okay, I just run through the part on the analyze a little bit. Just a quick recap. Okay, like I say, analyze data. They will just use the panel to ask your questions about it. And normally they will come up with visualization. You can do the same thing under the Copilot. You can ask it to do a pivot table for you. All right. Just turn on the Copilot, use the chat window to ask your questions, create chart. Okay. Or you just tell them, analyze my data and so on. All right. Yeah. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of our webinar. Now, I mentioned earlier on that we have an exciting event coming up. Okay, in conjunction with the celebration on Excel, this number of years have been around. In January next year, we're going to have a competition for Excel Masters Challenge. Going to be an exciting event where you're going to race against time to solve Excel questions and problems. We have a prize pool of 10K, right? So there is QR code over there. Whoever is interested, just for the fun of it, or you want to test your Excel knowledge and so on, you can scan the QR code. It will bring you to our site with more detail. Where is it going to be held and so on? We will be releasing the information as we go about it. But it's going to be on the 24th of January next year. Now. Okay, so it's going to be exciting. And for those who would like to learn more about Excel and so on, later I will show you all the QR codes. Okay. You can head to our website. This QR code is for the our Excel courses. We have 4 levels, starting from essential, intermediate, advanced, up to mastery level. We have courses that concentrate on just the formulas and function, right? From courses concentrating on Power Query and Power Pivot. This is very useful for those who deal with large data sets and so on, right? You can take a look at that. Let me share with you all our QR codes. Right. Now, I hope you have found the session, although it's a short one, I hope you have found it useful, right? And for those who are new to this, maybe it has evoked some interest in exploring Excel further. Existing users, I hope you have picked up some new tips and tricks in working with Excel, right? Please help us to fill up the feedback form, right? So we can improve our session in the future. And if you have interest in attending any other seminars, we can extend the invitation to you. So all the 3 QR codes are here for our Excel courses, for Excel the Masters Challenge, the competition next year, and also the session feedback form. Now, meanwhile, the remaining time, I can answer any questions that you have. Feel free to share your question, right? Or anything you want to share about the webinar itself. Okay, I think we have a question. Yes. Once the session is over, the recording will be uploaded. The link will be shared in the chat window. You will also get the copy of the slide and the sample Excel file, so you can maybe rewatch the video and try out the formulas. Okay, some of you are getting page not found.
Hi, Sandra.
Yes.
There's a couple of questions at the top.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at it.
so pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question saying that whether analyze data used for table across different sheets. Yes, but you must use the feature called data model in Excel, right, which is available from the data tab. To link these tables together. There must be a common field between them. Now, let's say, for example, in the first worksheet, I have a table called employees, maybe the employee personal information, and they are all identified by the employee ID. Second table maybe is, let's say, salary related and so on. And let's say I still have an employee ID to relate. So the 2 fields must be linked together. Then you can analyze them. AI data analytics help, yes. In Power BI, actually, these features are already there. You can say Excel kind of like taking some of the Power BI features in. Data analysis or analytics is available on, right? Okay, for those who are getting the page not found, it will be available. We will upload after the session is over. See, so we need to stop recording and then upload, so you can do that now. So meanwhile, okay, you can help to fill up. Let me flash the QR codes again. All right. Please share your feedback. There's another question. Right, thank you for those who have completed the feedback. Right, we still have another 8 minutes. Right. Again, feel free to share any question related to Excel. You don't have to restrict the questions to what I shared today. If you have other Excel questions, you can also ask. All right, everyone. I thank everyone for joining us this evening. All right. Whoever had done the feedback and shown you have registered your interest. Right. If you want to leave, go ahead. Right. I'll be around until about 8 to answer any question. Right. Thank you. Yeah, welcome, everyone. Right, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Immediately after this, we will upload the recording now. So you can probably try the link a bit later. If not, when you go to our website, asktraining.com.sg, go to more info, look under events, right? For those who are still around, we will be closing this webinar in a couple of minutes. Okay, once again, thank you for anyone remaining in the webinar. We're going to end the session now. All right.